It's page Mem Amid Beis, page 80. V'liyasin, it should be that Bechinas Tshuva Zu, this Madrega of Tshuva, is V'yeses Eis, V'yeser Ois, with more weight and more power. Me'umkudaliba, from the depths of one's heart. V'gam, in addition, Simchas HaNefesh, the Tshuva and also the joy of the soul. Tiyeh b'tei sefer seder v'simcha, you're going to have extra light and extra joy. Kasher Yoshev Alibe, when he will explain to his own heart, Das Tvuna, knowledge and understanding, Lenachame, to console himself, Mi etzveine v'yegene, from his depression and his anguish, Leime Kanal, to tell himself, Hey Nemes v'chuli. Hey Nemes is v'chuli, goes back to what he said in Amud Aleph, 6 lines at top. Emes who came beli sofik, shanarechak me'ad Hashem betachos v'meshuketz v'mesuv. That I'm very far from the Eibush and it's disgusting. However, Ani lo yasisi es atzmi. These are also, this quote, Ach ani lo yasisi es atzmi, and also the quote 6 lines from the top. Has to be minted on 2 sides of a coin, and you have to make it a medallion, you have to carry it around. That you have a choice of being depressed from the guf of nefesh habahamis, or being besimcha from the fact that you could be connected to the Eibishter through Yiddishkeit. And even though Yiddishkeit redeems you only for a while, then you're right there in the guf of nefesh habahamis. So you do Yiddishkeit more. Like he said yesterday about Yetzias Mitzrayim. What's Yetzias Mitzrayim mean? You run away from Mitzrayim and you celebrate a Geula, even though in yourself Mitzrayim still exists. Then you go out of another Mitzrayim and you celebrate a Geula, even though Mitzrayim still exists. The same is true Yiddishkeit. And the Simcha is compounded, says the Rebbe, and the Tshuva is compounded when you realize that you didn't do it. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're stuck in a Guf of Nefesh HaBahamis. What is your possibility is to redeem yourself from your Guf of your Nefesh HaBahamis, and this enhances the joy even more. In other words, if a person is in a bad place and they get out of it, they're happy. If a person is in a bad place and they didn't put themselves there, they wish to put them there, and they get out of it, they're even happier. So in other words, combine these 2 factors. Factor number 1 is that you could be free of Gashmias through Yiddishkeit. And factor number 2, that the prison of Yiddishkeit in the first place is not something you impose on yourself, it's something that the Eibishter imposes upon you. So combine these 2 factors, that A, you could redeem yourself under the Guf of Nefesh HaBahamis. B, the Eibishter is the reason you're stuck in this situation, and do tshuva and be b'simcha from it. V'lama asa Hashem kazais. Why take page 80 did the Eibishter do this? Lahayid, to lower Chelek me'edi yizbarach, a piece of his light, meaning the neshama. Hamamalei v'sevav kalalin, which is revealed in the worlds and hidden from the worlds. V'kulak me'kolach hashiv, and relative to him the worlds don't exist. Ve'elbisha, he took this shtik getlichkeit and he invested it. B'mishcha the chivya, the skin of a snake, which is klipa. V'tipas rucha, and a smelly dat, which is the goof. So I guess there's only one reason. Kiyim, the only explanation is Yerid Zu Yitzedachali. The descent of the neshama into this world is for the sake of an ascent of an aliyah. Now I want to interrupt here and tell you something like this. There's a lashon in Kitzvi Ha'arizal that says the following, and I believe that this lashon is quoted in Tanya Pedek Lamed Hey, but it could be wrong. Haneshama atzmo, or if not Lamed Hey Lamed Zayin. Haneshama atzmo ina tzricha tikkun. The neshama needs no correction. Ella, what's the end of that sentence? So in some place it says Haneshama atzma ina tzricha tikkun Ella aliyah, that the neshama should go up to a higher madrega. In other places Haneshama atzma ina tzricha tikkun Ella, not even aliyah. The neshama doesn't even aliyah. It's to be maila the world. Ella, to be asik and avodas habirudim. And this is what he says over here. Ki'im yirid zu tzedach aliyah, not for the sake of the neshama, but lahales ladishem, lift up to the Eibishter, kol nefesh achiyunus habahamis, the entirety of the soul of animation of life, which is the behemoth. Shem klipas nega, which comes from the klip of nega, v'chol v'shen, all of its garments. Hein bechinas machshava dibur ma'aseh shelo, which is the levels of thought, speech, and the action of the nefesh habahamis. And the animal soul and the levushim and machshava dibur ma'aseh are lifted up to the Eibishter. Al yedei yislapshusan, by being revealed and manifest. B'ma'aseh dibur machshavas hatera. When you do an act of teira, the nefesh habahamis is keach ha'ma'aseh, participates bal korche. When you do a dibur of teira, your dibur of nefesh habahamis participates bal korche. When you do a machshava of teira, the machshava of nefesh habahamis participates bal karchik because of the common inyan halah zu barichos. The Alter Rebbe is going to explain later the arichos, this halah, this upliftedness, and he means over here Perek Lamed Hey and Perek Lamed Zayin. That when you do Teireh mitzvahs, Nefesh HaBahamis is forced to participate, and this is the ultimate purpose of the world, what we call Dira B'Tachteinim, which the Vayla we're not talking about. In Pedek, these Prakim we're not into Dira B'Tachteinim. In these Prakim we're into the war between the Nefesh HaLakis and the Nefesh HaBahamis. So the Rebbe says, your Yetzet Heiv, your Nefesh HaLakis, is put into Golos and into Mitzrayim. Why? What's it doing here? So it could uplift. And this is the union of this is your simcha. Your simcha is I didn't do it. This is what the Eibishter wants. I'm going to redeem myself from this ghost of the goof of the Nefesh HaBahamis, and I'm going to have simcha from it. And in addition to that, this is the kavanah sabriya. Dira v'tachteinim through birudim. V'imkein eifay, and therefore, this is what I'm going to do. V'zeistihi kol magamasi. This is going to be my entire desire. Kol yimei cheldi, all the days that my neshama is in my goof. Lakeil bohen, to affect a hiskalos, to include in them I suppose means the machshava dibur ma'aser nefesh habahamis. Chayiruchi v'nafshi, the life of my ruach and life of my nefesh. K'meshikosav as the pasuk says, Elecha Hashem nafshi. Yes, I'm going to lift up to the Eibishter my nefesh. Ta'aynu, in other words, lekashe, to tie and bind. Machshavti v'diburi, my thought and my speech. V'machshavti v'diburei yizbarach, and Hashem's thought and Hashem's speech, which is through Teira, of course. V'hein, how do you connect your speech and your thought to the Eibishter speech and thought? By learning gufei halachas haruchas lafanenu, learning the halachas and now what's in front of us. V'chein, in addition, I can lift up my maisa, the koyach ha-maisa of my nefesh ha-bahamis, be-maisa ha-mitzvahs, to the act of doing mitzvahs, and bringing them back to the Eibishter. Since I recognize that I don't belong here, and there's nothing in it for me. In other words, this Perek Tanya doesn't say Hanashama tzricha ein tzricha tikkun ela aliyah. The neshama has no business in this world. Hanashama atzma ein tzricha tikkun ela to be eisek and avodas habirudim. So since I have no business here, I have nothing to gain except birudim, I'm going to do the birudim. And I'm going to get simcha from it. Says the Rebbe, which is why the Teira is called Meshivas Nefesh. It returns the neshama to the Eibishter. Pirush lemakela v'shasha. It returns the neshama to its root and its source, and it lifts up with it the Nefesh HaBahamis and the machshava dibur ma'aser and so forth. While Zeh Nema, which is what the pasuk says, in addition to being Meshivas Nefesh, it's also Mesamchei Lev. That the mitzvahs of the Eibishter are fair and they give joy. So here are the 2 points. The first point is Meshivas Nefesh. This is called Kol Yom of B'tshuva. And the second point is Mesamchei Lev. This is the idea that a Yid gets simcha from this Avodas HaTshuva.